Hello and welcome to this week's MVC Baseball Rawlings First Pitch segment. I'm your host, Joe Healy, and today I'm very excited to be joined by Southern Illinois head baseball coach Lance Rhodes after his team's series win against Illinois State last weekend and ahead of his team's tough road series this weekend against Murray State. Coach, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
I mentioned that the series win over Illinois State last weekend. What did you feel like was the key to that series win for you guys?
Well, you kind of look at what we did out of the bullpen. That was a significant reason why we were able to win the series. And unfortunately, we Alec Niggett's been really good for us on the mound as a starter, and he kind of had a rough start on Friday night and only threw one inning. And we really had to use a lot of our bullpen there on Friday. And then unfortunately, again on Saturday. Meade Johnson, who's been eating up a lot of innings for us, comes out after the first inning with an injury. And then, so we used the bullpen again all Saturday and then kind of split the game up on Sunday just due to what we had available. So when you look at, the amount of innings that we had out of relievers, the quality innings that they threw, that was a big reason, the success that we had. And then also, we had some really good offensive performances from, Lofton and Matt Shark hitting some big home runs for us over the weekend. And, but yeah, I would say, when you have two of your three starters only throwing 2 1/3 innings and you still win the weekend series, that's a pretty good job out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that, and specifically yesterday. I mean, considering how much bullpen you used the first two games, the fact that you only had to use two bullpen arms all day Sunday, like that had to be a sight for sore eyes for you to not have to play the bullpen game more than you did yesterday.
Yeah, and we were in a situation where our closer Sam Frizzy had not been used yet, and we were, in my mind, going into it with the potential of using him for 4 innings. And now we've never done that before, so we were going to kind of go out on a limb with some unknown there. But then Al Holguin was throwing the ball so well in the middle part of that game that we just were able to push Frizzy back to a traditional closer 6-out role. And once we turned it over to him, we felt pretty good about it as far as having a chance to stay in the game and have a chance to win it. And, really Al, man, he was just the highlight of the day right there on the mound, Al Holguin. And, he's a guy that in the past has thrown some really big innings for us. And really over the last month, he's thrown the ball much better than he has at the beginning part of the season. And we're going to need it with some of the nicks and bruises and things like that we got going on the pitching side of it. We're going to need another guy to step up and throw some significant innings, and Al's right in line to be able to do that.
You mentioned Alec not having the start that he would have wanted over the weekend, but generally speaking, just to zoom out for a second, like how much of a tone setter has he been in the rotation, just knowing what he can give you week in and week out?
He's been phenomenal from the side of, like, what you're going to get. And, he's another guy. I think probably all coaches are saying this at this point in the year, but, he was like as locked in as you possibly could have a starting pitcher for about the first 6 games of the season. Unfortunately, he took a line drive right off his pitching hand and missed 2 starts in a row. And then ever since that, like, it's been not quite as good as it was at the beginning. And it's hard when you take a line drive, 100-mile-an-hour line drive right off the pitching hand, and you're out 2 weeks and you're trying to get over that. We're still hopeful that his best finish is still ahead of him. And, we're going to continue to work to get it back to what it was. But he still kept us in ball games. But if we can get him back to the way that he was throwing at the beginning of the season, then we've got a true ace that can get us off to really good starts and set the tone for the weekend.
Flip into the offensive side for a little bit. How cool is it to have Tate Lewis have that moment in the finale of the Illinois State series, where it's a guy that just hasn't been a ton this year, but to come through in a clutch spot like that in the 8th inning?
Yeah, the one thing that I'm super proud of him and several other guys, like they just show up every single day and they take good batting practice, and they make my job hard when I don't put them in the lineup. Because every single day I've been watching Tate for the last month just crush the ball in BP, and I've given him some spot starts, and he's hit the ball well. And he honestly has earned the opportunity to get into the lineup more. And Sunday was one of those things where just looking at the numbers, like it showed that we needed to go with a lefty heavy lineup, right? And we have some options to be able to make that work. And then we get into the middle part of the game, and maybe it's not looking like what you thought it said on paper. So you just go and you make a move and you put the guy who in there that's been swinging the bat extremely hot. And you look at also Tate has been coming off the bench for us and is one of the best pinch hitters numbers wise that we've had since I've been here. I mean, the guy comes off the bench, he's ready to hit, and the first pitch that he got, he laced it for a single, and then he comes back around and gets another big hit for us. But again, it just goes to show that it's not easy. We've all seen it. People who don't play consistently, sometimes they check out early and they're not ready. But like a guy like him, it gives just a testament to who he is as a player and as a person, that he just shows up every day and works hard, even though he hasn't played as much as he wants to play. But he's making our job as coaches difficult because we're going to have to play him because he's swinging the bat so well.
Jordan Bach has settled into that leadoff spot for you guys. What does he give you at the top of the order?
I honestly, he's just like a complete college player. Uh, he can really hit for average. If you make a mistake, he's got enough power to leave the yard, and he is as fast of a college baseball player in the country as you'll find. And if he makes an outfielder move to the left or right, he can get an extra base hit. And he's at that point in his age and his career where he's very mature. He's seen every arm that you're going to throw at him. He's seen it, and the big adjustment that he's made is now he's been able to really handle the left on left matchup, and that's kind of taken his career to the next step. And he's just developed into a complete player. He's also came from a corner outfielder to now moving over to center field and really manning center field. And he's a leader out there. And he's just really doing it on both sides of the ball.
What can you say about what Matt Shark has given you in the middle of the order as a run producer?
I think with Matt, you look at what he did for the first month and a half of the season, exactly what we were hoping, being that just force in the middle, scary. If you make a mistake, like he's going to leave the yard. And then he got in that, every hitter kind of goes into a little bit of a slump, right? And then the ball wasn't going over the fence. And I think that he then started to try to hit the home run. And the home runs are just a byproduct of swinging at really good pitches. He's a big, strong, physical kid. And when he finds the barrel and he swings at the right pitch, he has a chance to hit extra base hits. And, it was just one of those things where Matt really wants to win for the right reasons. Like I truly believe that he has a desire to do something in this program that hasn't been done in a really long time, and that's get us into postseason play. And he wears a lot of that on his shoulders. And sometimes you just got to take a step back and just be a piece of the puzzle, right? And he doesn't have to be the whole puzzle. We've got a lot of good hitters in that lineup. And I think there for a little bit, like he wanted to do his part so bad that he was causing himself to fail. And we just kind of talked to him and just be a piece of it, man. Like you're a huge piece of it, but just be a piece. And again, it was nice to see him kind of break out this weekend, and hopefully he'll finish strong down the stretch. And you put him and Bach right up there at the top. It's kind of a scary 1-2 punch.
After you cycled through a few guys early in the season, Tim Samay really grabbed the shortstop position. What do you like about him there?
Well, we thought for sure at the beginning of the year that he would be our everyday shortstop. And, he kind of got off to a little bit of funk on the defensive side of it. And then that was kind of affecting the offense a little bit. And then also, there were times where we were kind of putting him in the lineup, taking him out, putting him in, taking him out. And, we as a coaching staff just kind of made the decision that, hey, we're going to ride him out for a little bit, give him some time and like let him try to settle in. And I think with that just comes some confidence knowing that you're going to show up to the park and that your name is going to be in the lineup. And then, the other thing that I'm just super proud of him is like he's playing through some injuries right now that, he probably should get some time off, but we just don't really have the flexibility to be able to do it. And he's given us everything that he has. He's a little bit limited on how much he can move and things like that, but he shows up every single day. He never complains. He never asks for a day off. And sometimes out there, like you can really tell that he's struggling with how bad it hurts and things like that. But the guy's just playing, he's just playing through it. And as a coach, you got to respect that.
Last thing for you. You sit currently one game back in Missouri State in the standings. You're tied with Murray State, which that makes for a big series this weekend. What will it take for you and your team to kind of keep pushing for that championship at the end of the season?
It's probably the tightest race since I've been in the Valley, which makes it fun because really every game from the beginning of the R Valley season until the end is going to matter. And it's one of those things where I think you look across the board, there's so much parity in the league that it just comes down to how are you playing on that given day, because there's not any team that can just roll out and beat you because they're just so much more talented. I think a lot of us are very similar on how we're built, on how the pitching staffs align. And I really think it just comes down to, what team plays better baseball on that day. And I don't think there's anybody that can go in and say that they're a definite favorite for that weekend series. I think there's just a lot of parity. And I think if we play really good baseball, I think we have a chance to beat anybody on any given day. But we also are very beatable too if we don't show up and play. And the thing that I am very excited about for our guys, and we talk about it all the time, is after the weekend where we played Belmont, we got some help from other teams, and which got us back into not only the race for second place and a bye, but it really got us back into the race for a championship. And now we're in a position to where we don't necessarily have to hope that other teams help us out. We can control our own destiny. And I think that's all you ask for as a team, is to be able to do it yourselves, and where we can look back at the end of this thing and say, man, we didn't have to depend on anybody else. Like, we either won the league because we did it, or we did not win the league because we didn't play well enough. And I think that's all we could ask for at this time with 3 weekends left, that we can control it ourselves. And I feel like we're in a good spot, and our players are in a good spot. And I hope we're hungry down the stretch to get everything we have to make a run at this thing.
Yeah, controlling your own destiny starts this weekend with a series against Murray State. I'm looking forward to that one. Should be a fun series. It's fun for folks like us, the parity coach, but I imagine it's a little more stressful in the dugout when you have that kind of parity in the league. But
yeah, it does. But again, I'm proud of our guys too. I think if you look at and you might not know from an outside following, but like if you really know the details of our season, and our guys just never quit. We played really good baseball from the middle to the ends of games. And I think that goes to show the testament of our guys, man. They're just tough kids, and they play hard, and they believe that they're going to win. And, we've finished some games really strong, and I think that makes us a dangerous team.
Absolutely. 100%, coach. I appreciate you joining this morning. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of MVC Baseball Rawlings First Pitch. Join us every week from now until the MVC tournament at Duffy Bass Field on the campus of Illinois State, as we interview each and every baseball coach in the Missouri Valley Conference. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.